Happy Tuesday and welcome back to the Wolff Den presented by In the Club Room Win Again Academy. Mark Moyer got another event tonight, a great networking opportunity. Check out Win Again Academy and Mark Moyer for more information about the event tonight. I'm Matt Wolff, founder and CEO of Ticket Time Machine. Speaking of networking, we have Chris Cianciulli from CONNEXX in the Wolff Den, on the Wolff Den, around the Wolff Den. Give me one of your howls that you would give when I would come to your event.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyway, we're gonna talk a lot about networking. Chris will give a quick introduction on who he is for those who don't know, and then we'll get into everything.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Matt, for having me on, and excited. Usually, I'm the one asking the questions. I'm looking forward to being asked some questions and sharing a little bit about CONNEXX and how it came to be. But I'm Chris Cianciulli, and I've been involved or part of different networking groups, as many have been for those who have their own business or their own book of business. And I felt that what it was, the idea and concept, is the most amazing thing, because every opportunity that happens in life is because of meeting or an introduction to someone. I saw how traditional networking was, and I wanted to find a way where it could be more inclusive, where people would collaborate instead of compete against each other. And that birthed the idea of CONNEXX. And when that little thing shut down the world, we went virtual because we started as an in-person organization. And really, it just took off like I would not have imagined. And I think it's mainly because it's more of a movement where it's a different way of doing things instead of the status quo.
So CONNEXX, you guys were meeting in person.
We originally started as an in-person, like a traditional networking. The one thing that we never did, we never identified someone's profession as them by name, like Matt, the ticket guy, or because so often, and I never thought about this until starting CONNEXX, so many people have an unconscious bias toward what people do for a living. So the second someone hears in the world of networking, usually someone will start off with, so what's your name? And forgive me, I'm really bad with names. Someone's telling you right now, I'm probably going to forget you. Yet still you go on. What's your name? What do you do? That's like, I compare it to, I remember when I was dating years and years and years ago, if I approached a girl and said, hi, how are you? And she like started right off the bat with, what do you do? I felt that she was judging if I was worth getting to talk to her. Like, she's first seeing, do I meet her first standard? And I felt networking was the same kind of thing, where unless you do something where I see the benefit for me knowing you, I don't want to go on. So what do you do? Oh, okay, I'll continue to talk to you now. And I hated that. So CONNEXX, the idea was identify the person, not the profession. So even to this day, when we meet people, when new members come in, we don't start with, so what do you do? That ends up becoming revealed at some point during an introduction or during one of our meetings, but we don't lead with that.
So we got, thanks to Corey for chiming in. He's talking about my Michael Fronte Stay Human hat. He's my Michael Fronte buddy. So thanks for tuning in. I want to talk about, what you were just saying, because I go to your meetings. I do a lot of networking with a lot of different groups. I will say that I do think that what you do is different, right? But I also want to say that there's value to the networking with what do you do? Now, not opening up that way, but value to networking intentionally with a cause to try and find the people to do business. I see there's value in all of it, and it can be done in yours, and I've seen other ways that it's been done. The thing that I find is that transition it's an awkward transition. If we can go back to the analogy you made with dating, it's an awkward transition when you're in a conversation to then switch it to something else whenever that time comes. How do you combat that?
I look at it like this, and with networking, people just lump it up to network. It's like I'm a lawyer Well, what kind of lawyer are you? Because there's many areas. I'm a doctor. What kind of doctor are you? Networking. You have groups like BNI or LATIP, if you've heard of those. Those are networking referral groups. You then have groups like Vistage, which is a mastermind. They're not passing business. It's more working through. You have Lions Club and Rotary and all those that are service based. You can have like mentorship groups. You can have like a specific industry specific networks, or even like on LinkedIn. Those are all the areas where people think of networking. This is why CONNEXX is different. We are a networking service. The difference is my flowers and my grass, beautiful. They never used to be beautiful because I used to water my lawn. I would pull the hose out. I would go to all the different areas, stand there for 10 minutes. And then I got a sprinkler system because I didn't want to do all the work. I just wanted to reap the benefit of a beautiful yard. That's what we do for networking. When you join CONNEXX, and this is the thing that people don't understand, separates us. When you become part of CONNEXX, what we do is we are providing introductions for you. So if 80% of the time people networking are trying to find the right people to meet, they only have 20% of their time remaining to actually meet someone. So when they do, they start trying to arm twist and sell something, and then they get frustrated they're not selling. At CONNEXX, if we find the people for you to meet based on something in common or a similar interest, you have 100% of your time to get to know someone. And to what you said about asking what someone does, when you network, it's not about you trying to sell to that person. It's that person liking you to tap into their network. If you have 10 people and of those 10 people, they have 10 people that they have in their network, you're looking for access to each of those people's networks. And that's why the whole concept of one person per industry was so dumb to me, because if there's a mortgage person in my networking group, you don't think I know another 4 or 5 mortgage people around? So then to make a pinky promise, well, I promise I'll only use the person in this group. It doesn't happen like that. So let's just be real.
Yeah, I agree with that part. And we got another Join Richard, part of the CONNEXX group. Met him. Oh, I saw him this week, but I definitely met him before that.
But it's more than a group and a meeting. That's like my key thing that I want people to always know. It's not just what happens in our 30-minute meeting. It's what happens outside of the meeting. That's where the true relationship building takes place.
Right. And so I think you're a mix between a community and a networking group, because it's
service.
Service. You're building the community, and I get that. I'm all about being genuine conversation and getting to know someone. But there's times when I don't have time to do that, and I'm okay with someone pitching me, if that's what you want to call it, pitching me to be like, oh, I can't be friends with everyone. You do want, get to know, like, and trust is what everyone likes to say, right? Know, like, and trust. That's tough to do. I mean, that takes a long time, and so there has to be some type of talk about how can you help me, how can I help you. The key, in my opinion, and I want to hear what you think about this, is when you go into a group like this, you have to be willing to be like, hey, I can help you, that's great, but you can't help me, that's fine. Or you can help me and I can't help you, or we can help each other, or we can't really help each other, but I think it'd be good to talk to each other.
I love it. So this is what you just said is what we don't do at all. Like, this is what's so cool. So our approach is this, and this is why it's a service. So when someone joins CONNEXX, we have this thing where we'll offer you 1 month for $1. And here's what we do. When someone does our $1 membership, over the course of 4 weeks, they meet 4 CONNEXX team members. These are people that have been in CONNEXX for a while. They know what we're all about. They put the person before the profession to get to know things about them. In each of those 4 weeks, when you meet with each of our team members, at the end of the 30 days, we get together, the team that met with you, and we collaborate 6 months of introductions right then and there. We put that into our software and technology that we developed, and we automate and set up an introduction every week for as long as you're a member. So if you did nothing, you just joined CONNEXX and then sat by your computer and just waited for emails, every week you would get a weekly email making an introduction to someone within CONNEXX for one reason or another. It's like when you go on Amazon and you want to buy something, you look at what other people say about the product before you will commit to buying it, because what other people say means something. We call those third-party introductions. A third-party introduction is connecting someone to someone else with something in common or a purpose or a referral. There's a reason for an introduction. So if everyone stops trying to sell themselves, but instead we equate testimonials and the service that someone provided to us, now there's value behind the introduction. Now it's not a source of desperation, because let's not bullshit each other. When someone contacts you on LinkedIn and says, "Oh, I was looking at your profile, I'm so impressed." Well, when half of your profile is not filled out, they're bullshitting you. So it's like, I'm one of those people that hated how people would pitch me, yet I did the same to others. I hated how people would flood my inbox with emails, but I did it to others. People have bad breath and don't smell it, even though their nose is just above their mouth. And for a friend or someone who knows you, I will always talk better about someone like Jason Barish, who introduced us. What a great guy. If I'm going to tell someone about Jason, or someone's in the need for tickets to buy for an event, I'm not going to say, "I got a ticket guy." I'm going to say, "I got a buddy of mine, such a great guy, huge deadhead like you." I'll throw something in common, because every time someone talks to you or tells a story, you're just listening for something that you can relate to. "Oh, you're from New York. I'm from New York. Wow." You're looking because everyone wants to know, how does it apply to me? And if we're real and honest about it, let's connect people with things in common. Then you have something to talk about. And most people in networking don't know what to talk about, so they revert back to or they feel like, I'm out talking to people. If I'm not calling it networking, then it would just be hanging out, and hanging out's bad. But I think hanging out's great, and I think we should embrace building a relationship. Oh, and you said know, like, trust. Here's the philosophy of CONNEXX. Besides the automatic and auto introductions from our team, here's what we also do. When you come to a CONNEXX meeting, it's a 30-minute meeting in which we have 3 mini one-to-ones. The reason for doing that is Princeton University says that within 7 seconds, you know how you feel about someone if you trust them. So by us interacting for only 3 minutes, you know if that's someone that you really don't foresee yourself reconnecting with. Because to me, networking, if it's like sitting on an airplane and talking to someone next to you for 45 minutes, and at the end of the flight, you're never going to talk to them again, how's that any different than most people's networking? Because if you can't tell someone who you met last week, did you really meet them? So at CONNEXX, you get to know someone at a meeting. We developed our own technology to follow up with a drop-down menu. So if I were paired with you and I liked what you said, which I had done before, I selected your name off a drop-down, I hit connect, boom, instantly you got my schedule. Hey, Matt, let's reconnect. That reconnected us. So we get to know each other in meeting. We get to like each other in a one-to-one. And once we trust each other, we use the CONNEXX app to connect you to other people for a purpose, a reason, or a referral.
Yeah, I trust everyone until they give me a reason not to trust them. So I kind of I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But there are people you can tell real quick, like, this guy is full of it, or gal. At the end of the day, I have to work with some of those people also. So I do see a lot of value in a lot of different types of services, networking, communities, conversations, hanging out. But you would also recommend that people do other stuff as well, correct?
Absolutely. It's like exercise. I'm a trained exercise physiologist. I went to college, went to grad school, all for that area. And one of the hardest realities when, like, I was into weight training, so everything else was stupid and pointless and worthless. And then I had someone say to me at one point, like, you're offending other people who maybe are into that kind of working out, like yoga or whatever they were into that I wasn't, at spinning at the time. And that, like, made me realize, wow, there's more than one way. And that's my point about, like, what I learned at CONNEXX. Everyone, for the most part, if you have a license, if you have whatever that governing board is to allow you to work, it's like, what do you call a doctor that only got C's in med school? Doctor. Exactly. So everyone's basically the same skill set, roughly. The differentiator between people is their personality. If you like them, if you relate to them, if you are interested, people want to be others that inspire them or remind them of themselves. So why do you think there's an algorithm on Amazon or anything? People who bought this also like this. I'm confident that if you like person A, you will like person B as well because they're similar and you have things in common. So when you use that as the basis for connecting, you get much more meaningful relationships, people you know, like, and trust.
What were you doing before you started CONNEXX?
I was a rodeo clown. I traveled around Texas and I would don the makeup, and I started working with bulls when they would knock. I'm just kidding. I was an exercise physiologist, and I started off as a theater major in college. I went to a performing arts high school in Connecticut, then wanted to pursue a life in the theater. And then I realized that it wasn't the actual acting that I loved. It was the production. I loved working in a team. I loved working with people. I liked working toward a common goal or a project. However, during freshman year, second semester, when one of my favorite professors was saying, I'm so happy you're all coming into a field that I also love and I hold dear. You're probably going to work as waiters and waitresses and bartenders for much of your theater careers. And like, I was hearing someone in the field share with me their experience, and they told me they really booked one national commercial, and that was like their big paycheck. And something about hearing it made me think I could always do like nighttime theater down the road. And I ventured into the area of exercise science and then focused on that, graduated with that, and then opened my first gym when I was 23 years old, and then built up a gym in 1 year to outgrow the space to then merge it into another gym, which then became a gym chain.
Well, speaking of entertainment, theater, acting, if I told you you look and sound like a famous person, do you get who do they say it?
I don't normally have the picture next to me, but I'll tell you. Are you going to, we go the natural one, The Rock or Jason Statham, I'm sure. Or
No,
I
not
used to
that.
get AC Slater from Saved by the Bell all the time.
Really? No, I think you
I
look
had
and
hair.
sound exactly like Dave Attell.
Well, I don't think any girl has ever walked up to a guy in a situation and been like, "Do people tell you like David Tell?" I'll take it as a compliment because of how funny he
Oh,
is in
he's
Jaeger.
hilarious. He's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has a poster of David Tell, like, look at him, but
Hey,
maybe there are. What do I know?
well, I've gotten Ben Roethlisberger, which is no compliment. So uh, sometimes like you have a
Well, as long as
beard.
it's about how you look and not your actions or behavior, that's all that
Yeah.
really matters.
No, I don't know. I don't worry about it. But I do. I remember the first time meeting and hearing you. Just I think the voice is what does it too. And he's great. But you're very animated. Um, were you always? I know you talk and joke about, but were you always very outgoing and sociable?
You're assuming that I'm very outgoing and sociable. Uh, I'm one of those kind of people that prefers to be alone and spend more of my time in my own head. And I only come to the surface to breathe every now and again, communicate, and then do the best I can to jump back into a hole and process my own thoughts and all the stuff that goes on in life.
Well, we talked about that, and that's it's interesting because you have. Do you feel like you have to put on a show when you're doing what you do?
Um, well, I want to put on a show when I'm doing. My whole thing is this: of when I come out of a shell, I don't come out and animate and big for me. I do it for other people because when getting into the networking space and starting an organization like CONNEXX, as people came, people started to leave. Like anything, you have churn. And when I would talk to people that were leaving or do some kind of exit survey, some people would say, it's not easy for me to reach out to someone. I don't know how to initiate a conversation. I had people say to me, I'm scared the whole night before, like having trouble sleeping, wondering what your question's going to be and if you're going to call on me. So the reason for me being very much out there, I don't care if people laugh at me. I don't care if someone makes fun of my way of being over the top or goofy. If it will get someone to open up, I want to help people tell their story. I want people to see how others are interesting. And what CONNEXX does that I've never seen anywhere else, and this is like a testament to the amazing people that are part of it, it's the kind of thing where people are looking out for each other, not because everyone says they like to do good things and help people. And I say bullshit to a lot of it. You might get a good feeling when you're helping people, but for so many, the help is just being someone to listen to someone when they're stressed out or having an issue. And that's how I've made some of my closest friends who I've met through CONNEXX, because yeah, we have things in common, but it's finding others that are willing to be vulnerable and open up to each other. Because if all of us have businesses and books of business, we probably also have families and loved ones and those around us who don't want us to unload or burden them with the stress we're feeling. And that's why with networking, when people make comments, oh, I don't need to, I don't pay to network. That's one of the ones I hear. Or I don't have to pay for friends. People said that when I was in college with pledging a fraternity. They'd say, oh, I don't need to pay for friends. But 25 years after college, the people who still get together every year are the people that were in the fraternities and sororities. The people that didn't need to pay for friends have nothing to do. So that's from my observation of friends of mine who weren't in fraternity sororities and badmouthed them. So when it comes to being part of an organization like we are with CONNEXX and finding others, that's the aspect where we're like a mastermind group, because it's having people to share. And our meetings, we aren't talking about pitches. Yesterday, one of our questions was, if the first title to your book, what would the first title to your story be? Where does the story begin and what would the first sentence be? And what we learned about people right then and there, from people being adopted to people being from other countries. When do you learn that in a traditional networking meeting?
I think it's great. People need to open up and share. Obviously, a champion for same here with the mental health and just thinking about being honest with yourself first, but being honest and open and sharing your feelings with others is very important. I do find that a lot of times, and not just in yours, I think a lot of people do give an answer that they think others want to hear, and not that they don't open up, but there a lot of times when you're in these meetings, they do that that you want to hear, or something that's going to connect to that, sort of like their business. How can we get people to more feel like it's okay to just really be honest?
Well, I've I'm someone who's been sober from drugs and alcohol for the last 14 years. 2008. What year are we in? From April 29th, 2008. And that was, I said April, March 29th. I don't know why I said April. March 29th, 2008. Sober, had a bit of an issue with substances. And when looking back, and I'm bringing it back to like identity, like you just said, I went from someone who identified as being in the world of theater and being an actor. Then I became a competitive bodybuilder, competed in national bodybuilding. I was sponsored by a supplement company. My whole identity was being a big bodybuilder. And a hard thing is, everyone wants to identify or belong somewhere. And that's what we look to. And that's why so many will say, oh, I'm big into networking, because it gives people something to say that they do. Because saying your profession might not be as sexy as going out networking or having a networking event. So I think the first thing is finding what you relate to someone or how you can connect with them. Because when I was in the room with other addicts, when I would be there, I learned a vulnerability where you don't have to hold back and you can be honest with these people because there's nothing that they haven't seen or heard that you're going to tell them. But there was something about the respect of not repeating it. And because of being in the fitness field for so long and not repeating what clients said to me, whenever I talk to someone at CONNEXX, they will share like struggles or whatever they've gone through, like with business or bankruptcy. And I don't try to give advice like I know shit. Like I'm the first to say I have no frigging clue. Like I've screwed up more things having the wrong, but it takes me 2 or 3 times to do everything. But that second or third time, I'm pretty good at it. And what I found is through
That's called learning from your mistakes, which is not enough people do.
The name of my former podcast, My Mistakes with 2 X's. And I started an entire podcast around my mistakes. And the idea was we learn more from each other, from our mistakes than we do our successes. And there's an expression, a smart person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So at CONNEXX, if I hear someone going through something, let's say they have to lay off 4 employees or whatever their issue is, I will connect them to another member of CONNEXX who I know has gone through. We had one person in CONNEXX who told me that their daughter is having issues in college. She's not sure if she wants to stay. She's having some mental health issues. She's getting in trouble with the dorm, going to get kicked out. Someone else in CONNEXX went through something similar a year and a half ago. I reached out to the person who went through it and said, can I connect you to someone who's going through something similar? They said, absolutely, please do. I made the connection using the CONNEXX tool for connecting people, and instantly they were connected. I got an email from the person like a week later and said, I could not have spoken to someone who, of everyone I spoke to, no one knew what I was going through. This person gave me sound advice. That's the shit that makes me feel amazing. Knowing that someone couldn't get their fiance an oncology appointment. There was a 3-month wait for this urologist. And through someone in CONNEXX making a phone call the next morning, that person got an appointment in the city. Yeah. That to me is the power. And that to me is why I say to people like you who do think like in that idea of business, I say, would you agree that every deal in business starts with an introduction? Because that's what we do. We provide introductions.
Yeah, and I don't want to misspeak. I believe in all of it. I think some have more value than others. It's an individual thing. Time is an issue. Timing, money does come into a factor. Someone like me, who's a startup, and so that becomes an issue. Not that I don't pay for networking, but just where is it better suited to do this or that? So that's an issue. But I do agree with you. I do agree with what you're saying, of course.
Can I say something to that point of the money? Like you just said, here's something I ask those who are familiar, because we get compared a lot when people come check it out. They're like, what is it like? Because the brain, when you meet someone, like you said, oh, do you know who you look like? Our brain is constantly trying to rack. Who do you remind me of? Who do I know? You look for a point of reference in every conversation, trying to think, how do I relate to you? Who do I know like you? It's like, my wife is Jewish. And I heard someone say, when she said, oh no, when they said last name, she said, oh no, that's my husband, my married name. And they said, oh, I knew an Italian so-and-so, and just like made an assumption or said something or other. And it was kind of like funny because someone feels a need to say, I have a neighbor who's Italian. Your husband's Italian. I know Italian. Like we all want to relate to each other desperately. We wear brands or something that like we want others to know that we belong to something. So instead of looking for something to belong to, here it's more of a suggestion. Hey, you know who you should talk to? Hey, you know who you would like? And I always feel good knowing making a great connection, or knowing that when I say great connection, if you sell tickets, to using Jason for an example, or you sell homes or whatever the case may be, if someone's not currently buying at that time, then why would they use your service? we're agreeing that we're not trying to sell the person in the room. And so often that's what I think people interpret networking as, trying to sell. So if you have a 30-second commercial, you're trying to sell everyone in the room in 30 seconds instead of foster a relationship.
No, I agree with that. But I also can tell you, I can refer you to 10 groups of people who are worth joining. I have also 10 to 20 different services that, software, whatever, email, website, blah, 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 that would be worth the money. If you get one job, and it might not be today, it could be a year, it's worth the pay for that. So a lot of it is like, hey, it's just there's so many options. It becomes a little overwhelming at times.
Great point. So it starts off with, what is someone looking for? And when it comes down to it, I tell everyone, if you have a service, I don't know what someone's price point is, but I asked someone who had a digital marketing company, and I said, they asked, how much is the membership? I told them, and they're like, oh, I don't usually pay for networking groups. And I said, okay, just out of curiosity, ballpark, what does your service cost? Ballpark, like median price, average price. And they said $3,000 to $5,000. I said, got it. If you were going fishing for fluke, don't you want to go fishing where fluke have been seen? What I mean by that is, if you are among a group of people that aren't willing to pay for networking, like they said, like it was a bad thing, oh, I don't pay for networking. Do you really think it's like a country club? People who belong to a country club for networking, do they love golf, or is it an excuse to get out, meet people, and do some business? So that's the way I kind of look at this, as just provide an opportunity to bring people together and let the magic of their personalities take it to wherever it's going to go.
Yeah, the issue with some of this is there's a lot of self-proclaimed experts and gurus out there in the networking service world. The thing that's good about you, and others do it too, is say, we'll give you an opportunity to try it. So I appreciate that of the networking. But
they're gurus. they're don't compare. I'm the dumbest guru of them all, and I'm not trying to proclaim having anything figured out. The only thing I've done that is worth mentioning, I came up with a concept how to automate introductions to make networking simple, so that if you can reply, schedule, and show up, we will build a network bigger that you know better in less time than anywhere. Guaranteed.
How big, when you have visions of this, and I know you have visions of huge, how close are you to where you think it could be?
Oh, nowhere near. Nowhere near. Nowhere near, because we're saying it like networking group and all. I don't see it as that. I see it, excuse me, I'm getting amped up and dry. I see this as more of a movement, because in what happened with the whole shutdown of the, I don't know if you can say it, or things get blocked or whatever, but with the whole shutdown and everyone having to close their business and shut down their network, I realized that there's so much dependence on other people to organize things, to arrange things, to tell you the answer to a question that you aren't going to think for yourself. You want to be led. I wanted to say, how do we stop this? How does everyone build their own network, create their own opportunity? We have this guy, I'll just say his first name, Jordan, who joined CONNEXX last week. Jordan is someone at 24 years old who's from Jamaica, said that what appeals to him about CONNEXX is there's so much talent in the technology space in Jamaica, and his vision is finding a way to help create opportunities and employment for people back home. And I said, we could not align our visions better. That's the whole thing, right? CONNEXX is, it's providing opportunities through introductions. It's aligning with other people that are thinking bigger than their local community. I think networking is great in local communities, but how beautiful to take your local community and bring it to a national level to share what's special. And that's what I love, to hear Jared talk about Madison, Wisconsin. I've never been to Madison, Wisconsin. To have Steve Mass talking about out in California, and I've only been to California once. It's here to talk to you about going from Jersey to Florida. It's hearing people's experiences that to me gives you purpose to live, because as Rich, who popped in before, said, you might not walk a mile in someone's shoes, but you can try them on for a minute. And that to me is what CONNEXX is, learning what other people are going through. And so often it's put my problems in perspective when I hear the other shit people are having to face their day with. And that's what humanizes people, to where we had one person once share us. I asked a question and it was giving an example of someone homeless and would you do this or would you do that? And someone made a comment in the meeting about something derogatory toward the situation the person was in. And when it got to this person, they said, if I could address that, I was homeless for 2 years. And they shared what it was like. Someone reached out and said, what exactly area do you do this service in? I want to hire you. They hired them right then and there for something that was a good costing job. But it was the fact that they were so inspired over hearing this person overcome. So to me, that's the movement, really empowering people through making introductions.
Yeah, and that's sharing and being vulnerable, which I want to go back to your sobriety. You know, when I shared my mental health story, once you share something like that, and I don't compare mine to a lot of others. I always say it's mild, but for me, it was paralyzing. Once I've shared it, it becomes so easy to keep sharing it. And what you don't realize is that someone hears it and is inspired, or they're moved, and they reach out and say, thank you for sharing, or they say, I've been struggling with this too. I promise, no matter what you're struggling with in this world, someone else has gone through it. None of us are that unique that we have to, I mean, there's someone out there, but man, they would be very hard to find. I want to know what possessed you to go to get help, and how long did it take you once you knew you needed help? And by the way, sorry, it's crazy to me. I mean, the congratulations for being sober for 14 years. You can pick anything in this world. I don't know if I could just remove it from my life for 14 years. So it's such an accomplishment every month, every week, that to have 14 years is incredible.
I appreciate it. Ricky Gervais made me laugh really hard once when he talked about the amount of weight he lost, and everyone started applauding. He's like, you're applauding me for not being fat and not caring about my health. And that made me laugh, because I've always said congratulations when people have a certain amount of time. And the new approach, and my father-in-law is in the mental health and works in addiction specialty. So I could not have married into a more perfect family for dealing with what I went through. And one of the things that was so amazing was the support. Not feeling judged was a very big thing to me. And it's not like I didn't try to quit. It's the kind of thing that you tell yourself, I could stop tomorrow if I wanted to. When you really can't is when it gets scary. And I have countless scary stories about being in withdrawal and different. For a period of time, I was traveling around the country, working with different people as their trainer. And I would be in hotels for 2 or 3 days waiting to get a call because so-and-so wanted to work out. And painkillers were very convenient to pass time, because I mean, if you haven't sat and watched Dawson Creek on a Tuesday afternoon and like ordered room service, you haven't lived. So that would fill my afternoons. And then after like Yes Dear and King of Queens, I would go work out with someone, and then it'd be back more painkillers. So you get into kind of like a routine. Then when you end up without them, and I had a pretty, it had a hold. And when you're somewhere without them, you haven't lived until you go through withdrawal symptoms. And that to me, to feel that helpless, that's the first time I felt helpless in my life, to where like you need something and can't get it, where it feels like nutrition, like you feel like you need to eat, like you can't function without it. That was a very scary thing for me. And having learning disabilities and being treated with medication, it was a very hard thing to, in one aspect, look at medication or drugs as bad, but the way to get off or not depend is through medication. And that's why people who struggle with eating disorders, I always said that's got to be the hardest thing to deal with, because you're addicted to something you need to survive. It's like I'm addicted to not peeing. Like you can't not do it. So I think certain things are, everyone has their own battle, like you said. And the best way that I found to deal with it was to find others that have gone through it, see what they did, and then model your behavior after it. Because I learned at that point, I didn't have to figure it out. I kept trying to quit on my own. I would get Suboxone, which was very new at the time, and it's a medication put under your tongue. It dissolves. It fills your opioid receptors to where you can't get high. And I was like coming up with my own way, like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. I know how to dose medications. Like I thought that I could figure out my own way to get clean. And I realized that doesn't work. So the first thing was truly admitting you're powerless. And in everything in life that I've done, when I admit I'm powerless and ask for help, it's always gotten me out of a certain a situation where it could have been worse. It made me think of a funny story.
Yeah, and it's, you always feel like you want to try and get out of it yourself, and then you wait too long and say this will pass and I could do it, and it's not so bad. And so the fact that you were able to get help, I mean, that's a huge thing, because there's so many people who can't. Asking for help, I always say, I don't have any problem asking anyone for anything, because I'm very receptive to people asking me for help and trying to help them. I live by the golden rule. That's my big thing. But asking for help, it's just people don't ask for help. They know they need the help, and they don't, and we can't get out of our own way. And that's for a lot of different aspects of life.
Let me call you on it, son. So if I asked you for help right now and I said I have a drug issue, I'm addicted to, let me give, I'm addicted to heroin. I don't know what to do, Matt. Help me. What would you say?
Well, that's it. I've never done any drugs in my life, so it'd be a tough one for me to do. But I probably can find some people. I would have to say, I'm glad you asked me for help. I can't relate to that, but I know people who can. Let's talk about it. And I have some people that I would like you to talk to, or I want to do what I can. It's tough, because it's hard. I mean, I don't have it. You don't always have
But
to have.
who would you introduce me to? Like
Uh,
call Google, or
no,
if I'm straight right now,
I have friends who've been in and out of rehab for drugs.
would you introduce me to someone who like can relate to me, maybe around the same age, or someone with things in common?
I wouldn't try and. I would just try and offer, say these are people I know, and get information. I wouldn't have to just think, oh, because you're the same age, or who knows. I don't try and. Whenever I'm trying to ask for help, I don't try and. I don't want to say judge, but try and figure out who would be the right person. Just, hey, these are people I know, because you can talk to all six of them. I have no idea, and maybe you don't want to talk to anyone. That could be another problem. I don't want to talk to anyone, but I have to. It's hard. It's hard. I had people when I was going through my stuff who wanted to help, and a lot of people don't know how to help. I think you have to toe the line between listening to what the person is saying, but also pushing to get them to get some help. Like my friend would say, hey, come to dinner, come do this. I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. It's not going to help me. It'll relieve me for an hour, but it's not going to help me.
Yeah. So again, like the same thing is saying admitting powerless. Like I'm powerless right now. It's that certain feeling. But when I would be at NA meetings, it was, I felt like I related to everyone's story a little because of that addiction, but there were certain people I related to more. Like right now, if I'm talking to someone who has two daughters, is stressed out because of the cost of summer camp and this and that and vacation, I'm going to relate to certain people because they know exactly what I'm going through at this moment. and that's who you turn to for them to give you like suggestions, tips, or pointers. Like as a trainer, people are turning to you for like fitness advice. I found that sometimes a counselor or someone in a position is good to go to, but when you go to others who are openly talking about their experience with it, and even when I went to therapy, I went to a psychi a psychologist once, and I didn't like his approach at all, because if I asked, you know what I mean, he wouldn't give anything. It was just,
In
why you
there.
ask that? And then I went to a social worker, a female social worker who was closer in age to me, which I thought I would be like nervous to be as open, but I felt very comfortable sharing because I didn't feel that it was coming. They weren't an older male that I felt was more fatherly. It felt like I was talking to a friend. So sometimes it's not just whatever help in whatever, it's finding the right person who can say it the way that you'll hear it. Because it's kind of like if someone's speaking a language in a store and you speak that language, you notice it because your ears pick up on it. Someone who is in need of help, someone who's been there will hear signs of it, and that should be your cue to at least offer.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Because the person's not going to. They're not going to, but
Yeah.
they're going to plant that seed in their head, and then at a later time, they're going to consider it. Then at a later time, they're going to consider a little bit more. And then something is going to cause them to reach out that day. And it's the effort you put forth the first time that paid off on, let's say, the 6th or 7th.
It's very difficult to see someone drowning and not be able to help them. Someone that you care about, even people you know. And there's all like that I would say anything to. There's nothing I wouldn't say to them. And then I have people just outside of that who I'm pretty close with that you just can't. I mean, you can, but they might take it the wrong way, or it's who knows. It's tough that way. But someone posted on Facebook about asking, hey, where should you go to take kids on vacation, here or here? And I gave my answer. I don't have kids. Someone responded, how many kids have you taken? I'm like, I don't need to have kids to know that it's a good place. So I think, we should get outside of, and that, we'll take it back to CONNEXX, get outside of what you think someone knows, or what you think they're an expert in, or what you think they can add value to you for. And let's just, let's see what happens.
You just said people drowning. Do you know the first rule of what to do when someone's drowning?
No.
Stay away from them. You never go close to someone drowning, because they will unknowing and unintentionally pull you under. And that's what happens when you get too close to someone at that point. What you're supposed to do is look for an object, reach for the person drowning, and help them out. So metaphorically speaking, if you reach for a referral to someone who knows, who can help you with that situation, or connect you to someone who has the answer, that's how you're saving someone from drowning. Getting close to them, they're going to kill you unintentionally, and that's not good.
That's not good. So when the pandemic hit, everyone was helpful. Everyone wanted to help. Everyone gave their time. Everyone was helpful. Then the world opened up again. It sort of regressed to the mean. I find that there's not, well, I'll say it's at best 50-50 people who want to help others. And they can. Everyone knows someone who can sort of help someone, in certain things. I'm not talking about a mortgage broker. We all know 6 of them. But outside of that, and a lot of people.
What do you mean help? What do you mean help?
Help to be give an introduction, pass your information along to someone.
Wait, hold on. You said, do you mean introduction or business?
Or give an introduction.
Okay.
I mean, it's with the purpose of, let's say, look, we introduce people, and you can say you want to make friends with them and you want to get to know them, but at the end of the day, the reason you're introducing them is because you think that they can help them in their business or their personal life or something. You have something predetermined. Now, that might not only be the value of that relationship. So I got someone on the phone. Hey, I'm not trying to sell you. Well, why not? You got me on the phone. What are you trying to sell me? Give me your pitch.
And like, if you're straight up like that, I totally agree with you, like 1,000%. However, my wife did not marry me on the first date. I know this Dave Attell appearance, you would think, wow, I'm sure the girls line up to marry you on first dates, but they don't. And what it took, I look at people that say they're big into networking, like people who are big into flirting. It gives you people to talk to, but you never develop a serious relationship that's meaningful, that has something that you're proud of. It's a lot of little conversations and acquaintances. So the idea is if you want to build a relationship, like when you weren't thinking about it, you said help, introductions. That's what we inherently want to say, introductions. We want to help people. The helping of is knowing that we place someone well. Like someone reached out to me, Jared reached out for Rich Butler's number. He met someone that is interested in doing something with podcasting. So Jared connected to someone he knows about the profession. Everyone in networking needs to understand they're one removed. Person A and person B are meeting to make an opportunity for person C. If you're trying to be person A and person C, well, then you're a hog. You're going to get slaughtered. You can't play both roles. And the idea, like you said, people want to help. People want to help so they get that hit of dopamine to feel like they're contributing. We all want to contribute. I feel so much better making introduction than a piece of business. And I won't bullshit you. I had numerous people in the past when I would talk up someone's business because I was in a referral group. I would say, oh, they're really good, this and that. And I would talk about their quality. And then I set an expectation that was unmet. Then someone like my clients would say, hey, I need someone for this. Don't go sending me someone from your group again. Last time that guy sucked. So it's almost like if you're trying to sell how awesome someone is, it's just who got there first. Most groups that have exclusivity, hey, hurry up, that seat's vacant. Do you want to fill that seat? What, everyone in the room is now going to forget the phone number of the last person only? Because if the churn is 5, 6, 7 years in a group, it's going to take some serious time. And I look at referral groups, and they're all good, but I look at ROI, not on money, on time. And if I go to a referral group and I get to do a 30-second commercial each week, there's 4 weeks in a month, 12 months in a year. Do the math. 2 minutes times 12 is 24 minutes plus a presentation. You're only speaking for 30 minutes every 52 weeks. And why do you go to meetings? So someone will be interested and say, hey, we should do a one-to-one. Well, shit, you get that in your first 30 days at CONNEXX. You have 4 of them. And all the introductions that you get going to meetings. So I feel like what we do is really deliver on, you will meet a shit ton of people. Put that on the marquee. CONNEXX, you will meet a shit ton of people.
Can I put that on? I'll put that on the bottom. Yeah, people are weird with introductions. They say, I won't introduce you, but I'll pass your information along.
You just told me that someone you would turn to, you would refer to someone who's an addict needing help to someone you know. So like you're doing it in the most important case. If you'll do it to save someone's life, why the fuck wouldn't you do it for an opportunity?
Well, I'm not that.
I'm saying in general, but you're so right. So that's why we created our app, because what we did is we created where everyone is in a drop down menu. So if I hear a member of CONNEXX, let's say Rich right there, when Jared said, he shot me a text, and instead of making the intro, he said to me, hey, he had a question about it. I was able to connect him using that. I went column A, Rich, column B, Jared, connect. Oh, reason, needs it for a podcast, connect. Instantly, they each got an email. Hey guys, here's your information. So you're right. It's challenging. That's why we automated it. If you can reply, schedule, and show up, you can build a network here at CONNEXX of people. Oh, and that's the best part. I love this. So our app, what it does, unlike, like on other social media where if you have connections, it just shows that you have 5,000, 6,000, 9,000 people. The movement and my vision of what CONNEXX is, it's an internal social network. In the past, and what I think caused a lot of issues with society and the world, is no one would shut up and everyone shouts their point out. On the CONNEXX app, you only have your contacts that you have personally met or been introduced to. They all store by picture. And in the app, because everyone says I'm bad with names, I designed it so that when you scroll over someone's face, that's when it says the name. Tony Hsieh did that at Zappos. When you would log on to your home screen, it would pop up 3 employees and you had 3 choices, multiple choice to their name. If you didn't know 3 employees' names, it didn't open your computer. I love that idea. So that's what we're doing is your face is over, or your name is over someone's face. So the idea is it's only the connections that you have made. It's not thousands of people that you want to help.
What if someone in the group wasn't sharing and holding on to the values that you guys do? Have you come across anyone?
Yeah, we use a substance called GHB and we drug them. It's like a truth serum, and they tend to open up and share more about themselves. People get passing out on meetings. I'm kidding. I'm just trying to live up to Dave Attell and Jaeger. We don't have an issue with people not sharing. I'm almost more concerned when people share too much too fast, because early discovery in CONNEXX, the majority of people that are big networkers tend to be the louder ones that are dominant of attention, leaving where those who are not as outgoing and loud to command as much or get to meet as many people. And the thing I like about a virtual platform is it levels the playing field where people all see each other equally. It's not like if there's multiple of us on a call, it's not like my box is bigger than everyone else's. Everyone is equal. Everyone's talking for the same amount of time. And when everyone is hearing that it's safe, that it's not, we don't have any rules at CONNEXX. We don't say you can't say this. We don't, but people start to learn what to say and what not to say. And the people that share too much too soon, that's where we are a business group.
Yeah, I guess I'm saying, let's say people aren't responding to other members, or they don't seem to want to connect, help, whatever. That's more what I meant than sharing.
I don't think I can think of a case where someone didn't want to help. I don't think we've ever had.
I'm saying I've been part of groups, communities that people just didn't respond to me when I reached out, and it's like, it's okay if you're not interested, and don't want to.
Why do you think that was?
I got a lot of theories.
Yeah, you're right, because I don't think there's a rhyme or reason to anything, and I don't think it's worth taking the time to figure out some things. Like when it comes to therapy, or the hardest thing for me to face was that I was the reason for all the issues in every situation I ended up in and blaming the world. Sobriety taught me that it's my fault. You can't blame everyone around you. Like if I had 5 cars and my last 5 cars all had the brakes go early on them, at some point you've got to say maybe it's the driver and not the car. So if every situation is always you running into these predicaments where, oh crap, like if I keep having the same thing reoccur, it's probably something wrong with me. And it was that realization of me doing things a little different. And there's certain thing I've stopped trying to figure out and stop asking why, and just say, if I'm enjoying it,
yeah,
what the hell? And I really think right now with CONNEXX, I've never been happier in life, and I've never enjoyed myself, where every day I get to wake up, I get to hear someone's story, I get to do one-to-ones with people from around the country, I get to hear situations that I can't even imagine. I share stories with people where they can't even imagine. And that to me is what this little journey that we're all on, and what's going to be different from one year to the next. I mean, if you're doing the same thing, if you have the same interests, I look at all of networking, and if you look at two of the groups, if you look at a group that started like in the mid 80s, they used to use business cards, Rolodexes, have the big brick phones, they had their Walkmans, they had their jelly bracelets. The only thing that hasn't changed since 1985 is the way people network. How they do it, how they store the information, everything's changed. But the stand up, give a commercial, have people go around, fill it with one category. There's an evolution. And that evolution to me is CONNEXX, because what we do is we merge technology and personality, and that's where they meet. So yeah, we get together.
There's a number of groups that I've been at calls on that are similar in that. So I think it is moving away from that. That is always going to exist. There is the BNI and whatever else you said, and there's value to it for certain people. But I think there are others that see what you're doing, and I'm not going to say they're better, they're worse. They're similar, and so I think that's a good thing.
What's right for you? It's
Yeah.
what's right for
Business,
you. There
we
is
like
no right or wrong.
we like business cards. We love our business cards, so we're always going to have business cards. I think. Uh, well, is there value at some point that you might find another community to sort of merge with and become a bigger community because they kind of are doing things very similar to yours?
Well, I haven't found anyone that is doing anything that combines technology with our introduction service. And I know that no one does it like we do because of the tech companies that we've spoken to in the last year.
Right.
So I know that there isn't anything like
Well,
this.
not
So like
today.
when
A year from now, 2 years from now, would there be value to that?
there have been talks with another company that is larger with some interest in something or others. So yeah, we are going to go into a direction like that. I want to be the bridge I want to be the link that connects other groups. I want people who are members of the other organizations come check out CONNEXX for $1 for 30 days. Come check it out for $1. If you're not happy in 30 days, I'll even give you back your dollar because I believe for $1 you will know. Because when people go to like networking groups and they're trying to decide, I watched it. People try to come up with reasons why it won't work for them. And you can be like, well, what we do is we automate. Yeah, no, I'm not good at automation. No, we do this. Oh no, I don't like to use a scheduling platform. I like to use my Rolodex. If it's not right for someone, no problem. And here's why. I'd rather someone not join. I would rather someone not join because that brings down the value of our network.
I agree.
Because if you have people that are responsive, if people reply, schedule, and show up, the value is higher. So having a price point that's more than other groups and having people that have to follow some kind of reply, schedule, and show up, some kind of process. But successful people have processes in place. That's why they're successful. It's the people that think it's cute that they don't like to write things down and they like to just fly by the seat of their pants because they like to improv. Those are the people that don't achieve the success because you can have a heart surgery and have a high success rate because the doctor follows the process that's proven. It's tested. He's not cutting open and going, what are we going to do here? And too many people look at networking. And when they tell me, I meet a lot of people, I go, really? Tell me the last 3 you met. I have yet to have someone ever tell me the last 3 that they met. All the big networkers, go ahead, tell me, who are the last 3 people you met? I can pull it right up on my app right now and tell you the date, when, and the time. Can you?
The last 3 people I met?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met Lisa. I mean, they're probably from your group because I was on your call last. I met Lisa from the group, and my brain is fried.
And if I were to pop right to the app, I can pull it. So that's and that's what we identified, and I think have found the first way to correct it because networking groups, what makes them successful? If you can connect with someone else, wherever you do it is great. Maybe it's an industry group. Maybe it's doing charity. Maybe it's doing, because there's lots of people that meet at charity events. They do charity because it makes them feel good. And networking just means, look it up. It's fostering, developing a relationship, mutually beneficial relationship. Why does mutually beneficial have to mean dollar cents? At CONNEXX, yes, we care about making money, but we care about making a difference more, because when you make an introduction, that makes a difference. And payment is just you being rewarded for how good you are at the service you provide. It's not the skill, it's the service.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm all for. Again, I said this. I'm for relationships where I help you and you don't help me. Relationships where you help me and I don't help you. We help each other. We just like being with each other. I'm all for any of those, and I think most people should be more open to who they'll have a conversation with. You just never know. It's why I like random networking events. I go to some of these conferences and you click on a button, you just show up with someone instead of I see this list of people. I want to talk to that person. I think there's value for all of it. We're in overtime here. Give me what's on your bucket list, things you want to do in life.
things I want. Well, I mean, that's a very big. I I don't like bucket lists because I don't like the idea of counting down something because I don't think any of us know how much time we really have. And that's coming from losing three friends and people during this whole pandemic. And one of them had some knowledge that it was going to happen. Someone else, it was unexpected. So to me, I don't think it's worth really planning anything. I think it's more along the lines of putting yourself in a situation where it's likely to happen because you can't force it. So in my life, I hope to still, I want to travel to certain places. Like my biggest kick that I want to do, I've been very into YouTube. I want to buy a van that can be a mobile office. I'm talking like a stealth van that you can sleep in, like a mobile office. I've watched people convert their vans insane. Like you go to Yellowstone Park, just pull over and stay there for a couple of days. I think that looks really cool. So I want to do a van conversion, and I want to find some cool places to camp in places where I'm scared to fall asleep because I could be eaten by a wild animal. Oh, and an African safari. Maybe I'll do all three at once.
My good guy Dan Gatter with VSP Marketing down here, he's got a networking type. We did every Friday. You go into his office and there's appetizers and some drinks, and people get together. It's part of a group, but he has these RVs, which are insane. I'll send you some of them. They're not cheap, but if you're living in it, you're living in it. That's what you're doing. It's your home. So think about where you're at. That would be pretty cool. You're going to camp. You're going to drive to the location, then you're going to tent in a dangerous place.
I want to have a van that's like a Sprinter van, and like tall. I'm not exactly tall, but let's call me 5'6.5", and so I don't need a super high van. But if you have a Sprinter van, I want a shower, I want a stove, an oven I could take or leave. Better.
Now you're going to have the whole kitchen, but my question is: are you camping when you go to these campsites?
I want to sleep in this. I want to like sit and work and make a desk that just goes back, and I can sleep in my chair.
All right, we can. I got someone who can show you at least the baseline for what is possible. It's he's got some amazing things. I'm like, I would
have
love
to go full circle. We had a conversation. You heard something I want and a need of mine. It clicked you. I met someone. That seed was planted. Like helping someone, the seed was planted. Whenever you last. But you like that person, otherwise you wouldn't have said their name. So when the need arose to call upon the service, and that's why in 30 seconds, you can't make that apparent. So if someone's doing their commercial or only speaking for 30 seconds, that's why asking questions like you just did, that's what we do at CONNEXX. It's revealing the need to then make the connection. There is purpose. We're just going in a window instead of the front door.
Yeah. And we'll get you out of the Wolff Den with the same question we let everyone out with. You can spend a day with anyone in the world, 24 hours. They have to be alive and you can't be related to them. Who would you choose and what would you do?
Anyone living 24 hours and not family.
Not family, not friends, just people you haven't met.
Not friends? So I'm like stuck in an elevator with someone for 24 hours.
No, you're meeting a celebrity, let's just say, a well-known person that you probably don't have access to today.
I am going to go with who's the most common answer that you hear? Does anyone ever repeat?
I was trying to. I had a list, and then I got to go back. We're at 215 episodes. My guess is that Obama is number one, but I'd have to go back and look.
Man, not family is where you throw it, and you know how now I'm getting a taste of my own medicine doing this to people at our meetings. Someone who had a lot of shit. I know who I'm going to say. I'm going to say, wait, can it be you said not a friend? It can't be a friend. All right.
A famous person. What famous person would you like to hang out with?
I'm not even being cliche or silly. Someone that would inspire me to hang out with would be See, you get the pressure. You don't want to give the wrong
There's
answer.
no wrong answer here. That's the beauty of it.
I know, and I'm trying to think who's the most inspirational person. Oh, I'm going to say this right now because then they'll hit me up on like two people. Mike Winnett, funniest friggin' guy, unbelievable, and Benjamin. Oh God, his pronouns are cute and handsome. Dennehy, Benjamin Dennehy, unbelievable sales guy, does incredible sales training and stuff. I found them years ago on YouTube, and I just watched a video this morning on Mike Winnett. So I'm gonna say either one of them. I don't know them, and in my mind, they're famous. And maybe they'll inbox me if they see this.
Mike, well, look, we always
Mike Winnett.
If you
Yes.
get wealthy enough or enough influence, you could make any of this happen. That's what we hope to do at some point. Get people together with who they would like to hang out with. So he's on the list.
Matt, can I say one more thing, please? Sure. When the pandemic hit, and this was like really when I felt like in a zone of this is the most amazing time for me at that period. My childhood being a bodybuilder, my childhood like bodybuilder I looked up to, that celebrity was this guy named Kevin Levrone and Flex Wheeler, the biggest names in bodybuilding, Lee Priest. And then I listened to Howard Stern like everyone, every single day. I'm a huge Howard fan. And here I'm good friends with Tim Sabian, who is the vice president of Sirius Satellite Radio, and Jackie Joteman Marling is performing at CONNEXX events. And I've got Doug Goodstein that I'm calling. It wasn't because of money that I met all these people. Someone met me in which I said, I'd love to meet them. And they said, oh, they also fill in the blank. So like you just said, oh, you can meet them. Money isn't what gets people access. Having something in common, that's where the connection is made. And that's the only reason I was able to relate to all these people that I
agree with that. But if you have $1 million, you could spend 24 hours with Roger Federer.
Or you could end up at the same Starbucks and pass them the milk.
You could. You're right. I'm just saying.
I've been known to do that on one or two occasions.
You can do both. Anyway, we're gonna make it happen for you. Check out CONNEXX.org. Come to a meeting. Sign up for a month for $1. Say hi. I can attest that there are a lot of good people there, and it's a fun 40 minutes, whatever, 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
It's a service. Remember, Matt, let me just correct so we don't, this was for, remember, it's not a meeting like those places. You sign up and we onboard you. Yeah, just go to CONNEXX.org. We'll have an interest meeting. Let's do some onboarding and check it out. We'll lay out the experience, reply, schedule, show up. That's it. Networking simple.
Networking made simple. Thanks a lot, Chris. I will see you at the next service event.
Nice.